Oh my gosh, we are finally talking about it. The Bride. You guys, we have been back and forth throughout the years on whether we should be doing actual movie reviews. And darn it, if it's not The Bride who's actually making this happen. And Samantha, do you want to talk a little bit about what brought us to the theater on The Bride and that we are talking
Well,
about The
let me
Bride?
start by saying that this film I really did not know much about. I vaguely heard stuff about The Bride. I'm going to say at least a couple years ago when I think Scarlett Johansson's name was mentioned in it. And I
Oh,
am
I
really
forgot
from the,
about that.
yeah, and I'm really of the position of I try to avoid spoilers. So I don't even like to watch trailers anymore because my mind just connects so many dots and it will true like even you just hinting at the color orange. I was already expecting the color orange, which that was in the poster, the movie poster, which I thought was beautifully stylized. um but I have to say that I get full credit to for getting me to the theater because it wasn't really on my radar because we had been talking about Scream. And so I knew I had to see this right away. So Friday night, Pax and I went for sushi dinner because hello, my fellow Catholics, it's Lent. And also I was like, hey, do you want to go see the new Christian Bale movie? He had no idea it was about monsters. And so we went to see it. And once we a little bit more about it, I personally knew I wanted to watch it again. And then when I read it was in IMAX, I was like, okay, can I fit seeing it in IMAX before Ronnie and I discussed this? By the way, welcome to Frolicking Chronicles. We have a podcast, we
Yes.
have a Patreon, but we are trying something new because we're getting back to our own roots and we want to give our channel a little bit something more. And we are movie people. We love going to the movies. That has come out in our families. My son Trent recently just said Mom, we're a movie family. Not everybody is. And
The way
Ronnie
our
and I
the way our kids will pop off quotes and like none of their friends like understand the references.
exactly. And I just think that I continually am disappointed when I love a movie so much and I'm looking for more on YouTube and the internet, and it's the same rhetoric or the same viewpoints. It's the same people reviewing these movies, which good on you. You guys have a platform, that's cool. But
Yeah,
nothing feels like me and you. And I just
which is
feel like
something
maybe
we've talked about over and over again. When you guys come to our YouTube channel, you know you're going to see Interview with the Vampire stuff, and those who see this notification came. We are working on Interview with a Vampire, and you can see episode 7 from season 1 on our Patreon. That said, though, we have families and we have friends who like make specific movie dates and all of that. And oftentimes Samantha and I have so much to say about cinema because of the Academy Awards, which are coming up in now a week. And that's like a whole nother thing on why we love Sinners and everything. But kind of staying on task for The Bride. Samantha and I saw it this last weekend. I saw it on Friday. I was like, please, sis, go see this film. And we have a little Ghoulies chat, and I put it in that chat as well because I really feel The Bride is an important movie. And to your point, the reviews that I'm seeing do not match how I felt about the film
exactly.
and how the emotion that it triggered in me and the excitement that it triggered in me from the moment Mary Shelley came on screen as, I'm going to drop a spoiler because I feel like this is where Maggie got it right in shifting the way the storytelling was and using the form of possession, which fits our paranormal thing. But also, if you've been a longtime follower of Frolicking Chronicles, you know that we are very much about the classics. And though I don't read all the books in our book club, which by the way, we have a book club, Samantha runs that, and a lot of Instagram lives. But Samantha will read more modern horror stuff, and that doesn't really do it for me too much. And
You're
Samantha,
an old lady.
I am
You are
totally an
music
old
taste is
lady.
80s years old, and I get it. Like there's a comfort in that. We like grandma, we like coastal grandma, kind of thing. And so what brought you to the theater though? Because this movie is flopping right now. And so Ronnie and I have this strong desire to encourage people to go to the movies while it's still in theater and doesn't get pushed out to streaming right away. Although
And
listen,
that's
I
why,
can't wait to buy
guys,
the DVD.
you are seeing us in our pajamas. Like, we are not trying to be over edited here. We are absolutely, and plus, we're a little technically challenged for sure. But we want you guys to like know how important it is to support movies while they're in the theater. Samantha went twice. She went to see it Friday night with her husband, and then she went back yesterday for IMAX. So I can't wait to hear what you thought about that. One word: curiosity. Curiosity is what got me to the theater to see The Bride. By the way, Samantha knows I always use two exclamation marks. The Bride may bring me back to using one. It was just so, I mean, there was so much about this film, like so many little details, and supporting women directors too. I think is really important. And, when Hurt Locker won the Oscar years and years ago, that was like immensely exciting because it was a woman director. And I want to say that's the one word: curiosity. Because I'm such an old lady, I guess, but also very much into the Victorian
But
era.
yeah, exactly. That
The
this is your
Instagram,
era.
the Instagram lives, usually when Samantha's doing a book club live, I'll chime in normally when it is a classic read, somewhere along that lines. I miss Dorian Gray. I still would love to talk about Dorian Gray. But that's my life. Like, if we're reading Frankenstein, we're reading Dracula, like, count me in. Like, I will take the time to reread those. And that's what it
So,
did, a
but
different type of
how much did you
storytelling.
know? How much did you? So, what brought you to the theater was curiosity. But how much did you know before?
Zero. To be honest with
Okay.
you, I totally forgot that Scarlett Johansson had been talked about until you just mentioned that. I knew it and then I forgot about it. That said, of course, I think, the movie poster, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, what's happening here? And I love, a good makeup and all of that. But also, too, like, just her hair, the way it was, and then that Christian Bale was signed up to do it, because they go back to, the Batman,
Dark
thing.
Knight.
And so very much curiosity, like, why would Christian Bale be interested? And you guys know we have this thing for Christian Bale because we did a reaction video to American Psycho. So there was a lot of like curiosity things, but I definitely didn't watch the trailer um, because I wasn't sure what to expect. And like Samantha said, sometimes we actually need to just avoid the trailer because we will be putting two and two together. Now, that said, it's Maggie Gyllenhaal. So Samantha came at me and she was like, I I'm just getting like Bonnie and Clyde vibes. And I said, I'm getting like Penny Dreadful Brona vibes here. If you guys are, once again, long time me Frolicking Chronicles, I loved the Penny Dreadful season 1 through 3. And Brona is also an Irish actress. So I was getting this femme movement like kind of thing. And
You got
how
that right away.
and that was just kind of because that's the thing with the bride in, well, Brona, in Penny Dreadful. It's like she didn't wait, you just assume I want to be with you? Like, how does that work? And so,
But that is also the premise of the original The Bride, right? Like when she was created, she did not want to be with the Frankenstein. She rejected him.
yeah,
And you
and then
guys, my love for Frankenstein not only goes back to our Frolicking Chronicles book club read of Frankenstein in our very first season. We're now in the fifth season. I took my daughter
love,
Sophia to a double feature of the old black and white Universal movies, Frankenstein and The Bride at at the time the block in Orange, and we had a fabulous movie night. Our mom is, infatuated with Frankenstein, I have to
yeah,
say.
Frankie,
And
everything. She
so,
has a good collection of stuff.
right. So the natural draw to see this story kind of extended for me was amazing. But also the stylizing, like you said, the movie posters, all I saw glimpses of the trailer and would quickly like turn it off. but hers, the styling of the bride's hair, I just loved it so much because we still had that electrifying,
Mm-hmm.
moment, but yet we had the bob of, Faye Dunaway and, Bonnie and Clyde. And I, to me, why is it getting so much hate?
Okay, male, our male reviewers out there, like we follow them. I'm gonna give a shout out to Chris Suckerman. His review probably was the most one that I can vibe with because he had some really valid points. But he wasn't hating on the film. Like he recognized, I believe, what you and I recognize that Maggie's bringing a different thing here with the goth genre. Like he would like her to do more genre-based movies. And he's also saying like what you said, the movie's not doing well in the theater. So my thing is if Hollywood wants, which is his point too, we've been long time me saying like bring a more original storyline, bring something different to the movies, not just these like crazy blockbuster, franchise type things that are going to make a
How many
gazillion
times,
dollars.
how many times are we saying, um, that is just a regurgitated storyline? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that movie was so boring. I will tell you, I did not care for The Lost Daughter because it was too triggering on many ways. I just realized that Maggie Gyllenhaal did that. When I go to the movies with Paxton, and this is funny, the juxtaposition, because he cannot stand Marvel movies. Like he is not a comic book guy. He thinks that they're all formula, right?
He's
Um,
probably right.
Yes, but also he was like, like after we saw this movie. So I'm sitting next to somebody while, and anytime you have these kind of feminist overtones and you're sitting next to what you would say alpha male, a little hint, he's kind of like my Brad Pitt in some ways, right? Like he's, definitely got some of those traits, but we've been married 30 years. And so, it I knew there was going to be some pushback on this narrative of this film. Although I knew I also would be disappointed to hear that narrative, but that's the reality of the world we live in right now.
Because
We've
we've
all,
been so conditioned to
yes.
accept this misogyny in our life. And um, once again, those who've been with us for a long time know that Samantha and I served in the U.S. Coast Guard. The misogyny that we have, I hate to say it, become accustomed to. So therefore, to me, it's not even like just tolerating it. Like nowadays, it's borderline like we tolerate it, right? Like our
But
husbands
thank you. I feel like people pressing on Mary Shelley's possession, she, first of all, brilliant use of vocabulary.
agreed.
We talked a little bit about, I think like this is almost like a term. Yes, they
Yeah.
guised it as a ghost possessing, right, the bride. But at the same point, it was like she was spitting out words that were so incredible that I cannot wait to get a hold of if I can buy the script.
Yeah. Can you
Just
please sell
really
that,
just love the
Maggie?
verbiage so much. Please sell it in prints, right? Like I would like that would be amazing for Office. But like you said, we've become accustomed to suppressing our feelings and accepting this kind of misogynistic patriarchal view. And so, how could you, as a feminist, really not like? I'm hearing things, and I'm not going to name names, but oh, it's the tropes. Oh, it's this. Uh, listen? I had to look at some words. I am not educated in film, like as in I didn't go to school to study film. I don't make movies. We make content, and it's just like these cliches, right?
We
Is
don't
what
have
they're talking
our
about.
journalist degrees or anything like that, but as fans of cinema,
Yes.
and you guys know well, those of us who are subscribed to our channel, you know that I released from the archives like one of the Academy Award parties, viewing parties that we hosted some time ago now. We love film, and I know that the economy is kind of crazy right now. And so like for me, like I went to a 1 p.m. with Jaden and the discounted rate. I forgot that it had been made in IMAX. So now I want to get that on my radar so maybe that I can go support it again in the theater,
Yeah,
but
the
with
word
Eric.
the word I was looking for was platitudes. And I hear a
Mm.
lot of these review type content creators using the platitudes, and that means cliches. And
We're
so
annoying.
I honestly am annoyed. I'm going to
Yeah,
be
that's
honest
annoying.
here. And also, I want to go to the point of life experience. Guys, Ronnie and I are 51 years old. We've each, excuse me,
Scandal.
been been married 30 years. We
Hmm.
both served in the United States Coast Guard. We were both stationed on ships.
Hmm.
You know, I,
Talk about that
been
male ratio on a ship, sis, just for a
okay.
moment so
So
people understand.
on a crew of 172 people, there are 14 females on average on a 378 Coast Guard cutter. Okay, when we were in the early 90s, okay,
Yeah.
we graduated in 92. We went to the Coast Guard after. I stayed in the Coast Guard for 23 years and became a chief warrant officer, in the reserve component after we served active duty. So sometimes I'm feeling that people being hard on Maggie Gyllenhaal and her juxtaposition of Mary Shelley being this person inside, trapped inside. I
This
feel like that's
rage,
a
this
real that
rage.
is yes.
Yeah.
Where's your rage, girl?
Hmm.
Because we do have that. Do
Yeah.
you know how many times we've had to go higher,
Hmm.
smile a little bit more,
Hmm.
make the peace. I loved Bride because I felt this is the first time I've been seen as a woman in these challenging situations, like being at Deepwater Horizon,
Hmm.
like dealing with flag officers, like it's just so infuriating to me that people are not giving this feminist movie more love.
Can we talk about too, just a little bit, like there seems to be this trend of sorts, I guess, with the anger type of reviews and the
Oh yeah,
dissing kind of
the hate,
reviews that
yeah,
yeah, and I'm like,
the hate
dude,
content.
do you really understand the dynamic of Mary Shelley? Do you really understand the dynamic of what Maggie's bringing to the table here? This is different and it's important. That's the thing, different and important. And why we're not supporting it the way Barbie was celebrated is getting on my nerves too, because if you understand what we're going through as a woman genre alone, like just go to the damn matinee. Like let's get these numbers up in the box
Yeah.
office.
Do
You don't
I
have
need to
to
see?
agree with everything, but also too there's a homo erotic kind of
Yeah.
vibe here. And so our LGBTQ plus people community should be also supporting this film because I think that it kind of has some overlays here. What did you
So here,
think?
so here's the thing too. It's like I'm not in a hurry to go see Wuthering Heights, even though I know that the set design is attractive to my eye. I didn't read that book. Uh, what do I think about these different overtones? I fucking loved it all.
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
freaking
I
loved
was
it
so
all.
into it.
And I think that also people who are all, well, Frankenstein was really about that. Frankenstein never got his companion in the okay, like he did not. And to see this hole in his heart fulfilled, even by just the nuance of shaking the mad scientist's hand, we, Ronnie and I, as twins, we've talked about this before, as having partners for 30 plus years, as having our children, we take some of this closeness for granted,
Hmm.
in my opinion, because there are really lonely people. And I think the world has even gotten more lonely because
Sure,
people
with this
getting
like
stuff in their interactions on
techie
the
age.
internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
When
so
you
for
have to have
me,
a AI girlfriend or an AI boyfriend. By the way, I hate to say it. I hear it more about guys having AI girlfriends than I do about girls having boyfriends. And so you're hitting it like the death by loneliness, right? Can be a layered subject in itself.
yeah,
Totally.
there's also this narrative going around of, oh, this film was messy. The plot was
What?
disconnected.
No. It's
I,
1930s Chicago, right? Was it based in Chicago?
yeah, I
Okay.
think 1933 Chicago.
Which,
Then we get glimpses of New York.
but let me tell
And,
you this too, that the fact that it was so stylized in the 30s because
oh,
the book or Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein came out in 1936. the element of the gangsters being involved in this film, it made sense if you understand the historicalness of the period. Of the period. So the people who are saying like, oh, they could have shaved off 15 minutes there, the movie was too long. Why is everybody in such a effing hurry? Go to maybe because I don't have a lot of cinema money, with these last few years. I'm
Yeah, you
picking
want to
it, I'm
enjoy it.
being very selective on what films I'm giving my dollar to. I loved it. I was fine.
Listen, it's what, 2 hours and 7 minutes, I think. Sinners was over 2 hours.
Loved it.
This is, yeah, and we went to the theater several times for that. Look, we laugh about this. I saw Titanic 4 times in the movie theater when it came out. That was a 4 hour film. So,
Yeah.
I can almost get through anything. What was interesting about the IMAX seat is I was like, oh shit, I don't think lines. And then about 20 minutes into the film, I was able to push back and sit back a little bit. Cause I was like, that sitting like this the whole time and not having a little bit, I was struggling there.
Yeah.
Um,
The way it
but
raised your hand right there, that little
I know
emoji,
I'm
because you did that.
laughing
That's so
over the
funny. I don't,
head. That's so funny.
but that being said, sis, I think people are too in a hurry. I think stuff goes over their head because they're overly anticipating. We are just by nature, and maybe that's the military in us, but maybe it's the survival tactics we had to learn as child in our child traumas. We're always
Yeah.
connecting the dots like really, really fast, and hence why we don't watch the theatrical trailers and all of that. There was so much to be celebrated in this film, and Maggie did right by us. And I just
You
want to
know
make
what?
sure that you hear this, Maggie. Like, thank you. Thank you. Because so much resonated. And by the way, can we just talk about the dress? Like the bride exclamation mark, the dress exclamation mark.
I'm
I
like
just,
that. That
it was
silk
beautiful.
is cut on the bias. I'm looking at every detail, which is the beauty of also for me going into IMAX. If you like set design and costuming and makeup, to have it right in my face, and I'll create a reel for at Frolicking Chronicles Instagram later because that for me was delicious.
Yeah.
I wanted to that it wasn't about this, scene from a big budget movie that was, had action and it wasn't about those type of bells and whistles. It really was about the artistic detail for me. And listen, did you pick up like the astroplaning that was quickly
Yes.
touched upon? And
Yes.
Paxton's like, what? Like after I came back last night from IMAX, he said, oh, what did you notice, this time? And I said, astroplaning. And
Yeah.
he goes, what?
Yeah.
And so
When she
the out
are
of
you
body
talking about
experience
the out of
is
body
really
experience?
quick.
When she grabs the
Yes.
light? Okay, yes, because
Yes.
without giving too much away, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's such a layered film, and I just thought out the gate as soon as I saw Mary Shelley on that screen, and then connecting the dots of like, oh wow, she's making this like quote a possession. I love that, which also explained the Tourette's kind of moments, right? The immense,
Which I have not read
brilliant
anybody
vocabulary.
I haven't read anybody talking about it in that form. I've maybe seen a touch of like mental illness or, you know, um, but not like a disability or anything in this way. But Tourette's might be on my mind because of that poor incident I won't highlight
Yeah.
that happened a few weeks ago at the BAFTAs. But I just thought how brilliant if I could associate words that quickly together, and that's not in a rap song.
Right. Right, right,
you
right.
know, it's not a rhyme like a poem. It was just it was just like that fun game,
Hmm.
right? Wasn't there a game
But
like when
then
you said, fork and then you go spoon, knife, whatever, you just kept going. But these were elaborate, beautiful vocabulary words that not everybody hears all the time. And
that
even just
celebrate,
shit mate,
by
I
the
mate,
way,
you know.
but it celebrated literature. And
Yeah,
that was the point I think a lot of people didn't understand
I love
either.
that.
And that said, just like I just want to emphasize, like the movie is very stylized, and the people behind the scenes to make these films, hence why it was, I don't know, $60 million to make or whatever. It's because they're taking the time and they're really using the craft. They're using their artisanship. And I wish more people would support films that do that, rather than this hit it up, bang, bang, you know. I mean, I like a good action film, but
Sure, me too.
and Eric and I, my husband, we vibe on a lot of action films, but we also really vibe on the arts. And this movie's to be celebrated. I hope everybody goes to the theater and see it. If you're a follower of Frolicking Chronicles, please do us justice and go to the cinema because what maybe we have 627 or 34 subs on YouTube. If you're watching this today, please make a point to go to the cinema and let us know in the comments below what you thought. Are we on point? Are we highlighting something you weren't thinking about on why this movie was important and why we should all be thanking Maggie for making it? Sis, what do you have to add there?
I actually feel like I need to write her a thank you note.
Me
Like, where's her fan club?
too.
Okay, because I thought it was a beautiful film. I thought it gave us closure with Frankenstein. It also gave her bodily autonomy in ways, but also challenged us with a couple close near, essay scenes, if you will. He loved her. There
He
was
loved her and then she grew to love him. And I think that's
yes,
the part that like relationships are hard. And, we look at the divorce rate. Guys, I'm going to tell you, the grass is always greener where you water it. And that's the relationship, And I want to say we haven't even touched on the female, quote, detective in the film. Penelope Cruz's storyline and Maggie Gyllenhaal's husband is in the film as well as the main detective. There's just so much support too. And I love that her brother played the character Reed.
like
Like,
I feel like you just before I lose this point, and guys, this is a little bit spoiler, of course. Wait, am I allowed to say spoiler?
you are allowed to say a spoiler.
Okay, so the scene where
So, warning, spoiler coming.
five, four, three, two, one. Okay, the Penelope Cruz scene where she becomes the detective because she's always been the detective. To me, that was right in line. If we know the history of Mary Shelley, her book had to be published underneath her husband's name. So I literally have met a gentleman, 20 years my senior, who was like, no, I like the first version written by the male. And it's like, no, it was always Mary Shelley's story. She came back to revise it or what have you, but she always was the author. She had to use her husband's name to get it published because that's the only way it would be taken seriously until her father stepped in and also gave her credit on the title. So I felt like that detective part did actually go in line with the Frankenstein. If you know the history for true Mary Shelley fans,
Love that you said this, sis.
literary fans, that was what why that scene was important. And also as a shoot 'em up gangster movie, you needed the detectives. That's old Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah, that
And
is
I
old
love
Hollywood.
watch the Black Dahlia. I mean,
Yes.
there were so many odes
Or even
to
LA
old Hollywood.
Confidential. LA
Yes,
Confidential
and
hits on all
and
those too.
monster films. I just thought it was well done. I think that Frolicking Chronicles is probably going to do a podcast episode just about the bride with the spoilers because we want this review to get out sooner than later. That's why we're just doing a quick Zoom session. If you like this format, please also let us know because we're really just wanting to get the content out there in the simplest, easiest way for us to do it.
Quickest. Yeah, quickest,
Yes.
quick.
And also that you see that this is like, I'm in
Our
my living
life.
room, Ronnie's in her bedroom. We
Uh-huh.
are like, let's just keep it simple. And we want to do this more so that we can actually, you can hear our voice quicker rather than, have to look for it too hard. I think, what would you rate this film, sis, as we come to a close? I think for this review, because we don't want to have too many spoilers.
For me, it's a 5 star. Honestly, like I don't have anything else that I would have wanted out of this film. Once again, I didn't go in knowing exactly what was happening. I had my suspicions just because of my love for Penny Dreadful. Samantha had her suspicions, and to be honest, we both got it right. There was that Bonnie and Clyde element, and there was the
Yeah.
Brona from Penny Dreadful, and like that whole thing. We can absolutely talk more about this on the podcast. But yeah, guys, thank you for subscribing. Thank you. I hope if
Please
you can,
subscribe if you haven't. Hit the
yes,
bell, hit
support
the
us.
like. We need to get to 1,000
Subs.
subscribers. We've
We
been
need
we've been trying for so long, but we lack consistency. So we're hoping this format will help us also be consistent. So let
Can
us know
I
if this
also
works for
say
you.
we need to stop being unserious? No, and we always have
Yes.
lots of things to say. And so I thank my sister for her time. I thank you guys for chiming in the comments, please, because our asses will answer you back. So there's that.
Yes, yes. It may not be right away, but we definitely go back to some of the comments. So, okay, guys, I think for me, it also was a 5-star review. It hit all the elements for me. I thought it did ring true to carrying on Frankenstein's story in a new kind of creative way. And here for original content,
Yes, yes.
wacky ass films. I'm also here from for it. Like I do like a off the cuff kind of movie. We need to support female directors. We need to first of all, I'm all in for Jessica Buckley. If you haven't seen Hamnet, I'll just shout out that one for you because if she wins the Oscar, I will be so happy. I just really that movie was great. And again, a thespian type literary type deal. So 5 stars for me. And listen, I'm buying the DVD if she comes out with the collectors. And listen. I'm washing my rusty orange colored clothes
Yeah,
today.
I'm about to get some rust, satin in my wardrobe for sure. So
Yeah.
another element
Okay.
of orange. All right, that's it,
All
guys.
right. Hey, the next one up, we're talking about Scream 7.
Seven.